Top 10 Best Horse Movies. People just can't seem to get enough of these fascinating animals, and horses are no exception. There are hundreds of movies that are out there that center on horses, but not all of them are very notable. The following is a list of the movies that, in our opinion, are the best horse movies ever made. Number 10. Secretariat. This film is primarily based on the novel Secretariat, The Making of a Champion, which was published in 1975, and it tells the story of a legendary thoroughbred racehorse by the same name. This horse became the first to win the Triple Crown in 1973 and went on to leave a legacy that was deemed significant enough to be brought to life on the big screen. The narrative focuses almost as much on the horse's owner, Penny Chenery, as it does on the animal itself. Number 9. Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit is a horse that is on the smaller side, and as a result, he has a very low probability of winning any type of horse race. A man who makes cars makes the courageous decision during the Great Depression to pursue his lifelong ambition of competing in horse races. When the vehicle manufacturer was working with a group of underdogs, they came across the Longshot horse, and it turned out that the two of them made a dynamite duo. It is important not to miss the various emotional highs and lows that occur throughout the process of getting ready for races and competing in them. Number 8. War Horse. War Horse is a film directed by Steven Spielberg and released in 2011 about a thoroughbred horse named Joey. The novel that inspired the film was written in 1982 by Michael Morpurgo. The narrative begins with Joey's birth and then moves on to his education at the hands of a young man named Albert. However, Albert is forced to watch as his horse, Joey, is sold to the military so that the family can pay their rent after a rainstorm washed away their crops. Joey was Albert's favorite horse, but the family needed the money more than anything else. The second part of War Horse focuses on Joey's service in the war, and how Albert eventually joins the military after reaching the age of eligibility. As was to be predicted, Joey and Albert are brought back together. The three leading men in the cast are Tom Hiddleston, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Eddie Marsan. Jeremy Irvine plays the role of Albert. This movie about horses was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. Number 7. The Black Stallion. The Black Stallion by Walter Farley is widely considered to be among the very best children's novels ever written on horses. The novel was adapted into a motion picture in 1979, which was 5 years after it was first released. The protagonist of the narrative is a little kid who, after being stranded on an island with an Arabian stallion, forms a bond of friendship with the horse. After being rescued by a boat captained by a fisherman, the two go back to their homes but keep in touch with one another. As time goes on, Black is schooled to become a racehorse and proves to have good speed. Meanwhile, Alec is schooled to become a jockey. This film about horses was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, one for the acting of Mickey Rooney and another for the editing of the film. Number 6. The Horse Whisperer. The Horse Whisperer was a film that had its initial release in 1995 and was directed by Robert Redford, who also had a starring role in the film. Redford plays the role of a horse trainer known as the Horse Whisperer who can help a young girl, played by a teenage Scarlett Johansson, understand horses. The film is based on Nicholas Evans' novel, which was published in 1995. The opening scene of the film depicts Grace and her horse being involved in an accident that not only causes injuries to both of them but also results in the death of Grace's friend and her friend's horse. Grace's leg was partially severed, and she is resentful that her horse went through such a traumatic experience. Tom Booker shows up and assists the girl in regaining her health by assisting her horse. Number 5. Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, Stallion of the Cimarron. An intriguing film about horses, Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron was produced by DreamWorks Animation and released in the year 2002. These horses communicate with each other by sounds and body language, just like a real horse would, as opposed to talking like you might see in other animated movies about animals. Instead of talking horses, these horses communicate with each other through noises and body language. It was enough to win over the reviewers and earn them a nomination for an Academy Award. Having said that, Matt Damon narrated Spirit's thoughts, so the movie did have that going for it. The narrative focused on a young filly that matures into a mighty stallion that becomes the dominant male in his herd. Despite this, he is taken captive by wranglers, and the colonel attempts to tame him through extremely painful means. Spirit also makes the acquaintance of a Native American child, and the two of them go on to form a connection that ultimately ends up saving both of their lives. Number 4. Hidalgo. In 2004, One Johnston, the Rocketeer, who had previously directed the film Hidalgo, brought it to theaters. The story of Frank Hopkins and his horse Hidalgo is told through the lens of a biographical western. In actual life, Hopkins was a professional horseman who was a long-distance rider and is said to have won 400 races. However, most of his claims are regarded to be fictional because he was also a circus performer. In addition, he was a winner of 400 races. The movie depicted his achievements in a serious light and centered on a horse race that took place in Arabia in 1891. Even though the film was based on a true story, many of the stories told by Hopkins, including the race depicted in the movie, were regarded to be exaggerations or tall tales. Viggo Mortensen portrayed Hopkins in the film. Number 3. National Velvet. The narrative of a young woman named Velvet and her horse, Pie, who competed in the Grand National Steeplechase, was told in the novel National Velvet, which was first published in 1935. The novel told the story of Velvet. Even though it was fiction, the novel was about everyday people, specifically a woman living in the 1920s who accomplished extraordinary feats. The year 1944 saw the premiere of the film adaptation of the book. Elizabeth Taylor, who was just 12 years old at the time, played Velvet Brown in National Velvet, and Mickey Rooney, who was 36 at the time, played a drifter who helped her. The film was a huge critical hit. The film was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry in 2003 due to its cultural importance and received a total of 5 Oscar nominations, taking home 2 of the awards. Number 2. Buck. Buck is a documentary that was released in 2011 on Buck Brannaman, who is known as the real-life horse whisperer. This was the individual who served as the primary consultant for the fictitious film The Horse Whisperer, which was directed by Robert Redford. He avoids using any kind of punishment when he is training horses, instead relying on his leadership and sensitivity to get the job done. This film was selected as the recipient of the Audience Award at the Sundance Film Festival due to its high level of entertainment value for people who are enthusiastic about horses. It follows Buck as he travels around the country working for folks who need help in training and bonding with their horses. Buck's clients include people like you and me. In addition to this, he visits clinics to assist in instructing people on more humane and considerate methods of establishing long-lasting relationships with animals. Number 1. Dreamer. Dreamer is a film for the whole family that was released in 2005 and tells the story of a horse trainer and his daughter and how their relationship develops as they work with horses. Ben, played by Kurt Russell, is the parent who puts his little daughter in the background as he toils away tending to his horses. His daughter is Dakota Fanning, and she is 11 years old. After many years of neglect and difficulties, it is one horse, Soder, who eventually helps the two men reconnect with one another and strengthen their friendship. Several accolades, such as Best Sports Movie at the ESPY Awards and Best Family Film at the Critics' Choice Awards, were up for consideration for the film. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Share your precious thoughts with us in comments section below and subscribe to our YouTube channel.